We are on. Good morning. Welcome to the Monday, March 16th Board of Public Works and Safety. We are streaming live on City Madison YouTube channel and archiving our meetings there. We will begin with a roll call.
Carl Eaglin is absent. Bob Courtney.
Present.
Dave Carlo.
Here. Board or Dave? Have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting dated March the 2nd? If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the March 7th meeting as submitted.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll move on to claims.
Mayor, we have two sets of claims today. We have a general claim docket consisting of $1,226,090.62 and a payroll docket of $237,811.43. I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
I second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to new business, we will start with the Aquatic Care Services Agreement. Christian? Morning.
Good morning to everyone. I have in my hand a service agreement from Landmark Aquatic, which is also known as Spears Aquatic, for a yearly visit. It's a 3-year contract. They've stated in a 3-year contract, but it's a yearly visit for this year for an opening, a closing, and a mid-season visit to check up on us, just to give us our, and in my opinion, this is our first true year of opening the pool without any flooding, any issues with that.
We did last year.
This is our chance for our learning experience through them to do this. I'm still not comfortable with the fact of doing it with myself and or the staff that I have right now. I need Spears' help for at least this year. And this is that contract to do that. It's the opening of the pool, which we have set for the 23rd of April.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
And then the
April or
closing of
May.
it will be after Labor Day. And then one scheduled visit mid-season to give us a mid-season checkup.
Gotcha. And I'm totally in agreement with this. We have a lot of very expensive equipment there that we need to make sure we're, taken care of, as well as ensuring strong pool quality so that we can pass our tests and get the pool open, and then certainly get it closed and winterized and put to bed for the winter. If we nail down the budget implications of this?
Yes, we've had that. We've had discussions and we've had it budgeted.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Christian, can you kind of describe what function they're going to do prior to opening and closing the pool?
The opening of it, without getting in the weeds of how the pool operates, there's about 65 inlets scattered all throughout the pool on the basin or the bottom of the pool. That's the return for the pool. As far as the trough system that goes around it is that's the outlet, and it circulates back through the pump. It comes through the inlets. All of that is winterized with antifreeze. So between the hooking up and the chemical balance for the opening of the pool, and getting all of the mechanisms, for lack of a better term, up and running and all calibrated. Going through the winter, that's a touchy situation that I'm not really familiar with at this point. Closing is kind of the exact opposite, where you take everything, close it down, and then fill the system full of antifreeze again. I'm fairly comfortable with that one, but without going through it on a normal basis, seeing it on a normal year, going through pool school this past year, it's not as easy as it sounds as far as opening and closing the pool. So a little bit of guidance on them would be Now, this is a 3-year contract, they do that out. I don't foresee that happening moving forward after this year. That's my plan. But right now.
So do it in-house after this year and
Yes.
continue to be trained and establish procedures on both opening and the closing?
Yes, just knowing exactly I can work my systems operation and standard operations procedure off of what they do. Right now, I would be I don't want to miss something right out of the gate. If we
You
miss
would kind of be
something.
training under them,
Exactly.
so.
We did pool school this past year. I've been through all that process of it. I understand how to maintain the pool when it's running as far as getting it up and going. And that mid-season, I requested that on about the middle of the year last year, we had a few glitches that, if you could imagine, if you're building a house and you get 1/8 of an inch off of your foundation, and as you build, it progresses. Well, that's what happens with the pool. If we get behind a little bit in mid-season, it just makes it worse
Compounds.
as we get throughout the year.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So just in the essence of safety, I think this is a wise move.
Where's this company out of? It's
They are out of
Rosedale?
Central Indiana. It's Spears Aquatic. They're the ones that installed the pool. That's who I did pool school with. So these are the people that actually built the pool and installed
All the
the
mechanicals?
pumps and the
Yeah.
the mechanisms of the pool.
See this before, and so you said you think after this, you would probably try to cancel it? I don't know that this allows that.
It has a
So-
90-day notice in it for
Yeah.
cancellation.
I spoke with them about this. There shouldn't be an issue with what we do moving forward.
If you look under contract term, 36
Yeah,
months.
let's get there.
Or
That
is that
says
the initial
prior-
term?
But that says prior
Or
to the
renew-
expiration of the initial term, and the initial term is 3 years.
Let's see here. Does it define oh, I think Joe's right. That may be something to review with them, is that it would be an annual renewal, so that you could give them 90 days notice prior to if the intent is not to have this be a 3-year contract, 90 days prior to the end of the initial term being 12 months.
And, this may be something we want to look into, is something that we want to move forward with, continuing to move forward with them, doing the opening and closing, excuse me, of the pool itself. I know how our staff is, and
What-
Labor Days, we're pretty thin at that point.
I'm okay with the 3-year contract if that's the intention, unless your intention is to terminate it after, have the option of not,
I would love to have the
renewing for
option of
an
it.
extra year.
Yeah, I would love to have the option of it and us moving forward, but I kind of know how those things go.
Then we'll have to ask them about this,
I will.
modifying this contract.
We can amend it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would just be a little just cautious, and this is just my experience working with the city, is these things about 90 days prior to the expiration of the initial
Yes, sir.
term, or 90 days prior to a renewal term, it automatically renews. It's really tough for cities to catch that, especially changing administrations and different things like that, so I don't know what systems in place that we have to catch stuff like that. Usually it's not.
I think what I'm hearing
It's
Joe
tough.
say is it should probably have an initial term of 12 months and no automatic renewal.
Okay.
Is that what you're suggesting?
I
Those are good
think something
suggestions.
along those lines, and, if you want to shoot it over to me, I'm happy to review it or whatever.
I'm assuming our price is going to change on that, but we'll do it 1-year term, that's it. Do I need to bring this back for review?
If we could condition upon 1 year and not automatically renewed.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. So I would propose we approve the Landmark Aquatic Care Service Agreement with the amendment to the initial term of 12 months and with no automatic renewal.
I'll send that to you, Joe.
Yep.
So we can review it.
You make a
Sorry.
motion?
I made a motion.
No, it's all right. I just need to get on their books so we can make sure we hit opening day.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, now we'll open a discussion, any additional discussion? Good point on that, Joe, thank you. Any comments or questions? Any additional input, Joe? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Thank you. Deal there. And we have a professional services agreement. Chris Hale. Yeah, there you are. You're on.
There you go. So this will be for this year. It's a standard professional services agreement. It's a time and materials agreement we have with them for up to $50,000 in services. This is what we use throughout the year when we have projects that don't have dedicated funds or that need exploring. This allows us to work with them to secure initial engineering services for the most part, to help us develop ideas quickly or answer questions that arise from any of the groups. So this isn't just a street department function. This is for any of the offices in the city that need extra professional services.
We have a similar agreement, I think, with the Redevelopment Commission for on-call services as well. And they are our engineer of record. So they're involved in a lot of our initial review of projects and a lot of fact-finding with regards to streets and surveys and a variety of different spaces and a lot of
initial
different things.
information,
Yeah.
quick looks at projects to find out are they even feasible, worth further investigation, and emergency response when we need some kind of guidance.
Has JTL had a name change, organizational change, or?
So there's JTL/Prime AE Engineering. Yeah, so they were purchased by Prime.
Okay.
Some of the services are still through JTL, some are through Prime AE.
And what's the term of this? Speaking of which.
Yeah, this one can be canceled with 7 days' notice by either party, is the way
Okay.
that it was written in there.
With a not-to-exceed budget of $50,000, and it's billed at a rate based upon who's providing the service?
Correct.
Which,
It's
yeah.
billed based upon an agreed-upon schedule, depending on the service that we use.
Okay. No more questions?
No, I'll make a motion that we approve the professional services agreement with JTL.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, now we have thank you, Chris. Chris will be back up here shortly. Sunset Cinema contract. Hi.
Hi,
And introduce yourself to your fans across the world.
I am Katie Edens. This is my first year as the events outreach coordinator in the city.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
This your first Board of Public Works
Yeah,
meeting?
I'm
All right,
excited
we'll make it
about
memorable.
Thank you. All right, I am asking for the approval of the contract for Sunset Cinema for the Mayor's Movies in the Park this year and the authority to sign the contract.
Yeah, I always like about this is it's a fun series of movies. As you say, are there five? 5 movies throughout the summer. Carl keeps talking about American Graffiti. And the agreed price for all the shows combined is $7,500, and I believe you do a majority, or if not all of that, is done through the contributions from our businesses and supporters across the city, right? So it's a great event. And tell us some more about how the movies are selected.
I went through and selected ones that were based off of like Memorial Day weekend, the car show, and then more kid-favorited movies. And I selected them, and then we put them through the survey, and the city picked them.
Is that underway now relative to the pool of movies that the community can pick which ones their favorites for that particular weekend?
Yes.
What's going to be the first one?
Do you really want to
Is it a secret?
know? No, I'm really excited about it.
So now I really want to know, because this will be, is it Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be F1 with Brad
Oh,
Pitt.
oh, nice. So kind of getting into that,
Yeah.
the IndyCar
Yeah.
racing.
So it'll be fun for the car show and the Rumble on the River.
And the dates are May 22nd, June 19th, July 24th, September 4th, and October the 30th.
Yes.
Is the movie Madison on the list? Or we're having a special screening of Madison,
Yes.
aren't we?
Yes.
What about Hoosiers? Is Hoosiers on the list?
No.
Is American Graffiti on the list?
No, for the Memorial Day movies, it was F1, Bandit, Smokey and the Bandit, and I don't remember the third one.
Smokey and the Bandit. Good deal.
We did genres, so F1.
I think we have a local celebrity that's in that movie, Smokey and the Bandit. We'll have to, that'll be a fun one. I can't wait to see that one.
Maybe we need
Great.
to look at bringing back Sun Came Running.
Well, they just played a movie over here last weekend.
Did they?
It was.
Anything else to add on Sunset Cinema?
I have just a small adjustment, so we're gonna have Bob sign these. So we're gonna line out your name and Tanya's name and put Bob's in there, just to let you know that when you see it signed, it'll be a little bit different.
That's fine, thanks.
And that should not interfere with any of the construction that we're going to be talking about later today on our riverfront and Bicentennial Park.
September 4th is the last one that'll be at Bicentennial Park. October, it'll just be too cold, so we're going to have it at the Brown Check.
Okay, I'll move that we approve Sunset Cinema personal services agreement in the amount of $7,500.
I'll second your motion.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Katie. Good job. All right, next we have up a key initiative, which is a repealing and replacing of the 2008 Policy and Procedure Employee Manual. And I think Jenna is going to give us a presentation on that initiative and some highlights relative to this new policy that we want to adopt. Joe?
Resolution number 2026-6B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, repealing and replacing the 2008 Policy Procedure Employee Manual. Whereas the Board of Public Works and Safety, as the administrative body for the City of Madison, has the authority to approve the employee policies for the city and adopt the City of Madison Employee Handbook as the city's official employee standards for all applicable city departments and employees. And whereas the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, as the fiscal body, has the authority to approve those provisions of the said handbook that would be classified as employee benefits. Whereas the Board of Public Works and Safety last adopted resolution number 47-2008 on November 3rd, 2008, which revised the employee manual and procedure manual. Whereas it is important to regularly review employee policies to ensure compliance with modern and best practices of state and federal employment standards, as well as offer competitive benefits to all employees. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, to hereby adopt as the 2026 City of Madison Employee Handbook. A copy is attached as Exhibit A. It is further ordained. Actually, that should be resolved. I didn't catch that before, but that's okay. By the City of Madison Board of Public Works and Safety, that the City of Madison Employee Handbook shall be effective upon the latter of April 7th, 2026, and the adoption of certain provisions by the Common Council. This 2026 City of Madison Employee Handbook shall supersede any and all other employee manuals, policies, and/or procedures.
Thank you. Welcome, Jenna. So tell us a little bit about this handbook and what's brought us to the meeting today.
Okay, I'm just going to go over some background. So in 2021, I had the opportunity to intern with the city under Mindy, and one of the first projects that I was a part of was reviewing the employee handbook, which at that time dated back to 2008 and no longer reflected current workplace policies or employment regulations. After being hired full-time later that year, I continued updating policies one at a time, but it became clear that a full handbook revision was much larger than we could manage alongside our day-to-day responsibilities. So in 2024, we contracted with HR Focus to assist with the revision. They work with several government entities, including Jefferson County, and they paired us with a representative who previously worked for the state of Indiana. And then over the past 2 years, we reviewed multiple drafts, ensured policies aligned with current workplace practices, gathered feedback from department heads, and worked with Councilmember Josh Wilbur to gain additional operational insights. Our most recent updates also address compliance with insurance liability coverages, and this document that you have today is the final draft. Overall, the handbook was updated to ensure legal compliance and clarify workplace expectations such as attendance, timekeeping, and scheduling, and better align policies with how work is actually performed today. It also strengthens HR processes for me and Mindy through hiring and separation, including progressive discipline and exit procedures. Within the benefits section, the city's core benefits largely remain the same. However, the section was reorganized to clarify and better explain eligibility and administration. A few updates we added were Indiana Child Educational Activities Leave, which allows eligible employees unpaid leave to attend certain school-related activities for their children. And then military leave provisions were also expanded to better explain employee rights and responsibilities, and we now have a clear internal process to track that leave. And then another change is the transition from parental leave to personal leave. Rather than offering leave tied to only childbirth or adoption, the updated policy provides paid leave for significant medical situations. This approach promotes fairness across employees while aligning with ADA and FMLA regulations. Overall, the handbook is intended to be a practical guide that reflects modern workday practices, current legal requirements, and provides clear expectations for all employees.
That was a very good summary. And I know you spent a lot of time working on this to get it here today. And you sort of touched on the fact that when you have policies that become outdated, but you have modern situations, you're constantly trying to find the workaround or adopt another policy. Before you know it, you've got a handbook and several changes or new policies to try to accommodate what's going on into the workplace. And I think you've done a really good job on this. I'll just mention too, just for clarification, that like with a lot of the policies and ordinances that we're revisiting, we hope that they don't just sit on the shelf for another 10 or 20 years, as they have in the past. I believe the city adopted its first handbook approximately in 1980. There were some procedures in 82, and a handbook in 1995, and an updated handbook in 2008. And here we are in 2026, 40 years later after policies and procedures were adopted, and we're still modernizing, but this should be a living document that gets revisited on a regular basis. So I appreciate you, all the effort that went into this, because I know that it was no easy feat. And the companion to this, as you were talking about timekeeping, was also creating some efficiencies along the way with the adoption of AccuPay and the elimination of paper time cards and moving to systems that are online and in the cloud and more accessible, collecting data so we can more efficiently track our benefits, empowering our employees with information, as well as giving them more expanded benefits that makes the quality of the work that they do here for the city even higher. So thank you for doing all that. I don't have any questions on this because I've seen this along the way with all the work product. Dave, what questions do you have? And This will go to city council to begin the adoption process for their portion of the handbook, which is the benefits portion. As you can see on pages 18 and 19, there's probably 20-plus different levels of benefits we offer competitively for our employees, but it'll be, the benefits portion will ask council to adopt those provisions similar to what they did in 2008.
Now, reading through it, it's in-depth. I think it should meet our expectations. I just have one question. Does this employee handbook also include airport and Port Authority employees that are
It would not
under those
include the Port
agencies?
Authority because it's a separate entity. It would include the employees of the airport because that's an executive department of the city. Does not include the police department because they have their own SOPs that outline their benefits, but it would include everybody else. Is that, did I say that right, Jenna?
Yeah, that's all
But a
I've
good
got, so-
point, because those are city entities, and but the Port Authority is a separate quasi-judicial or quasi-jurisdictional entity itself.
So, we need a motion?
Yeah, if we'd have a motion, we'll open up to the floor if there's any other questions.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the updated City of Madison Employee Handbook.
I'll second the adoption of the resolution 2026-6B for the 2026 City of Madison Handbook. Open it up to questions. Any comments or questions? Hearing none? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. See you tomorrow night for the same presentation. Move on, we have a couple of resolutions. Joe? For street closures.
This is resolution number 2026-7, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding street and parking lot closings for Mindful Connections with the Freedom Center. Whereas there's been a request filed by Emily Applegate on behalf of the Freedom Center for parking space closings for said group in connection with their Mindful Connections event to be held on Saturday, May 16th, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that 20 parking spaces along Vaughn Drive on the south side of Bicentennial Park shall be closed from 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Saturday, May 16th, 2026.
Emily, would you mind coming up? Introducing yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Emily Applegate, and I'm with the Freedom Center. I'm the director of the operations.
Tell us a little bit about the event, and what the use of the parking spaces are going to be for.
So Mindful Connections, this will be the second year for the event. Our whole purpose kind of behind it is just to promote local resources and to show kids that it's okay not to be afraid to ask for help. So there will be different businesses set up for game booths for the kids to visit, learn about who they are, play a game, win a prize. The police and sheriff departments will also be there grilling out hot dogs and handing those out for free to the kids. And yeah, the parking spots are for Kona Ice, so once the kids visit all the game booths, they get a stamp on a little card, and they'll turn that card in to get a free Kona Ice. So along the parking spots will be Kona Ice and a few other food trucks.
Those concessions predominantly for the reserve parking?
And it'll just be like sidewalk, like their order windows will face the sidewalk, so we won't need like the street closed or anything. It'll just be the parking spots.
And what year is this that you've had this event?
This is the second year.
Second
so
year, how was attendance last year?
It was really good. I don't know exact numbers, but we had a food truck and they completely sold out. We ran out of hot dogs, so we are planning for more this year. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a really successful event. And then we will have a movie at dark as well to kind of close out the event.
Oh, at the park? Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to announce what the movie is?
It is Finding Dory.
Finding
Dory.
Dory?
Yes.
Okay. Dave, do you have any questions?
No?
I do like the fact that it's contained in the park, doesn't require any closures.
No street closure?
Nope. So I'll move that we approve Resolution 2026-7 for Freedom Center's Mindful Connections event.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Is the time right here, 6:30 to 10:30 on May 16th?
Yeah, so the event will be 6:30 to 8:30, so we'll probably need to set up earlier than that.
Yep.
Just a couple hours, and then the movie should be over by 10:30, but the parking spots and things, they'll head out before the movie's
Okay.
over, so.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Emily. Thanks for what the Freedom Center does for our city, too.
The next one is resolution number 2026-8, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding street closings for the Molly DeTillo 5K Run Walk. Whereas there's been a request filed by Jim Lavelle on behalf of Molly DeTillo Run Walk, Inc. for closings for said group in connection with the Molly DeTillo 5K Run Walk to be held on Saturday, May 9th, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive between West Street and Poplar Street shall be closed from 5:30 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, May 10th, 2026. Is Saturday, May 10th, or is Saturday, May 9th? Okay, sorry, some typo there. That's May 9th. Yep. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from 7:30 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, May 9th, 2026. Vaughn Drive from Vernon Street to Ferry Street and through the city campground. St. Michael's Avenue from Vaughn Drive to First Street from St. Michael's Avenue to Vernon Street, 2nd Street from Elm Street to Vine Street, Vernon Street from Vaughn Drive to First Street.
Thank you. Is Jim here? Oh, okay. Hi.
My
Brett,
name's
go ahead.
Brett Cahall, and this is my first year on the Molly DeTillo committee as the head high school coach for the girls cross country team. And I'm just here for the...
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Is this the same course as last year? Are there any additional closures?
It's all the same.
And Dave and I were sharing some notes earlier about St. Mike, the turn up to get to First Street on St. Michael's. It's right next to the Fairfield. Did we close that street previously? How are visitors at the hotel gaining access?
I am not sure about that. I can talk with Jim and Gina and see, but I'm not sure about that answer.
I know that we have frequently gone that way, but it was a good question about not restricting access to the hotel off of St. Michael Street, because there's two parking lots there. I understand if there's runners on Vaughn Drive, we wouldn't want them there, but we're going to have to accommodate vehicular access on St. Michael's, whether it's by having volunteers posted to help direct traffic, or stop it temporarily would be okay with me too. As long as we don't restrict access to the hotel. And of course, you'll probably be working with Fairfield to let them know the event's happening. And
Yes.
anyway, Dave, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, that's my thoughts. Blocking access to a business. I remember several years ago, we had a request when the JC store was open down here, was to block 2nd Street in front of the JC store on a Saturday morning. And you just can't do that, especially something as busy as a grocery store on a Saturday morning. So anytime we run into this problem with Chillbillies on the riverfront at Mulberry Street, it's not fair to the business when we close access to their business. So that's my biggest concern. And also, I've had a problem in the past with, I don't have a problem with closing First Street, but we've got a one block section of 2nd Street from Elm Street to Vine Street. And to me, that just interferes with the flow of traffic coming down Second Street. I would like to see that rerouted somehow. 'Cause,
The issue with that is that's the only way to get back over to First Street because you're going around the Lanier Mansion.
right,
So somebody that participates in that event, I know that there are volunteers at each of the corners, and we're talking about, a couple hours at max, but if there is a lull in the participants, there's an ability to let a car through. But also at that point between Elm and Vine on Second, other than that one block of local access, you can get around. You can get around, you can go to Main Street and back down in whatever direction you want to go.
yeah.
I'm open to maybe exploring the route again in the future. I'm supportive of this as long as we have the right volunteers doing traffic control, and I know there's volunteers on every single corner while the runners are coming through.
We'll talk to Fairfield and I'll let Jim know.
Yeah.
about
But
that concern.
you're staying on, so First Street is the less driven street,
Yeah.
that's gonna
Yeah.
take you east or west, particularly they're going west at this direction. And only way to get around the Lanier Mansion without going through it is to zip up to Second and then immediately right back down.
But we
Yeah.
changed the lanes on Main Street, which I think, in my opinion, it put more traffic on Second and Third Street, which, I'm supportive of the lane change. So we've taken traffic off of Main Street, put them on Second and Third Street, but yet we're gonna close a block of Second Street. If we can work around somehow having volunteers to man that intersection to let traffic flow, we've still got a sidewalk there on the south side at the Lanier Mansion, the south side of Second Street. If there was just some way maybe to control where we could still leave Second Street open.
See, I know there's volunteers all around the course, and this year they'll be wearing vests.
On every corner.
Yeah.
Maybe if we could just block off the south side of that block of Second Street. Where the parking lane is.
I'll talk to Jim.
Okay. There's more
We
management.
just have so
There's
many.
a lot more management in just blocking off.
Street,
For that one block, you'd be introducing a lot of management by saying, let's just restrict the parking on the south side and then create a lane so you can be on the south side but still drive through. It's a short period of time. I'm open to exploring it. But we also, putting them on the sidewalk, I think also somehow creates a bit of a safety issue because it's not it's a brick sidewalk and you've got the curbs, you're not on a smooth street surface anymore. That poses its own risk, I think, to the participants.
I just feel like during the spring, summer, and fall, we have a lot of street closure requests in that area. And I know a lot of people have to put up with the inconvenience of street closures. I accept that. But I think we also need to maybe address some of these footprints to try to minimize street closing, especially on, say, Second Street, Third Street, Main
Yeah.
Street.
We have three running
the
events,
majors.
we have 3 running events downtown and probably 60 other events. So, I agree with you, the running events take a little bit of a larger footprint, but they're also in the spectrum of being closed for a few hours, not for a week or a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the runners
Yeah.
and walkers will be done by 9:45.
Yeah. Dave's raising an excellent point, which is we are doing a lot of closing our streets downtown for the better part of almost an entire year. And we need to be taking a look and a serious look at, what we close for, how long we close for. Some of the events we close for, you close for an entire week to get ready for an event. And the running events are short, sweet, a few hours at a time, not a lot of early closures, but it does compound with all the other events. But we have this, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I can go along with it this year, just with the understanding that next year, between now and then, maybe if you could redesign your course a little bit to exclude Second Street. And, this is a great event. How many years has this been going on?
Over 20 years.
Over 20, yeah.
Long,
over
yeah.
20.
So,
I agree with Dave that it's a good event. It's always an opportunity to refresh our perspective of it and look at it in a planning and safety perspective, as well as the fact that we have a lot of downtown utilization all across our community. So I would move for this year, we go ahead and approve Resolution 2026-8 and work throughout the course of the year on better event planning, which I think is really what this is. Would you second that?
yeah, I'll second that.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any additional discussion or comments? You look curious. Oh, okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to step out. Read that
All right.
resolution.
Didn't know if you wanted me to wait. Resolution number 2026-9, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding street closings for Christian Motorcyclists Association. Whereas there has been a request filed by Michael Whitesell on behalf of CMA of Indiana for a street closing for said group in connection with the CMA Indiana State Rally to be held on August 28th and 29th, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive between West Street and Central Avenue shall be closed from 8 a.m. Friday, August 28th, 2026, through 10 p.m. on Saturday, August 29th, 2026.
The mayor had to step out just a minute, he'll be right back. So. We've read the resolution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
tell us a little bit about the event.
Yes, my name is Michael Whitesell. I'm the state leader for the Christian Motorcyclists Association, or otherwise known as CMA. Every year, we do a couple of events in the state of Indiana. We're part of a larger international organization, but every year we do a 3-day event that we call our state rally. So it's a time for motorcyclists to come together. It's a family-friendly event. We have rides, we have services, we have worship and fellowship, different activities throughout the 3 days. And so for this event, we're requesting to use Bicentennial Park, which I have the paperwork filed for that request. For a safety perspective, we are looking to potentially close East Vaughn Drive between West Street and Central Avenue. This will give us the opportunity to have motorcycle parking. There'll be a lot of foot traffic in that area as well. It will give people the opportunity to link up and stage for rides that they may be leaving on, kind of exploring the area, both on the north and south side of the river.
And how many visitors, or how many people do you expect to register to attend this?
We're expecting 400.
Can you explain your organization a little bit?
Sure, happy to. Yeah, so the Christian Motorcyclists Association is an outreach organization. We've been around since 1975. We minister to the motorcycling community. We volunteer at a lot of different motorcycling events. We do a lot of charity work, charity rides, partner with different charity organizations. This is an opportunity for families who have motorcycle riders to get together and surf together.
Have you ever had your rally here in Madison before?
No, sir, no, it's the first time. Yep. Yeah, we've had it in multiple places throughout the state. This is the first time. I've been trying to lobby to have the organization have the rally here in Madison for a few years now. So we got our approval from our national leadership for that. But we've been all over the state. We've had it in Marion, Indiana for a number of years. We've had it up in Frankfort, Indiana for a number of years, all over. So yeah, we typically try to have a rally at a specific location for a couple of years and then find another spot to kind of keep us spread
Gotcha.
around the state.
Well, we appreciate you considering Madison, and I want to preface it with the conversation we just had
Sure.
about better event management and planning throughout the course of the year. And I'd like to table this
Sure.
for a couple specific reasons. One is I'd like to learn more, or if maybe you are already in contact with our visitor association, Visit Madison Inc. Are you in contact with them relative to your event and coordination, and are they partnering with you on
We're not
this?
partnering yet, no.
Okay.
Happy to, though.
I'd like to reach out to them and
Sure.
get some specific input. And my biggest concern is the timing. The timing, and that is, I think this is proposed to be on Friday, August the 28th through Saturday night, August the 29th. And it would be a music event as well as, is there a motorcycle show that's attached
Yeah,
to it?
we'll do a show.
A sh-
Yeah, we'll have different.
show?
Kind of different bike events.
We need to do some work at the city to better organize, as Dave was just, asking Brett some questions on a 5K, better organize events that are happening that are concentrated on our riverfront throughout the course of the year. And the reason after I talk about, mentioning tabling it, the reason is to give some more evaluation to this year in particular. This year in particular, we have an enormous number of events already planned on our riverfront. And then we are also going to have parts of our riverfront under construction when we get to the second half of the year. Part of it's actually going to start on construction, and the east end is going to probably start in May, and then it's really going to ramp up after the regatta in July, where we will have construction, unfortunately, in multiple locations on Vaughn Drive.
Okay.
So we're going to get to a point in time shortly after your proposed date of this to where there's no events at all, or no additional closures allowed on Vaughn Drive from probably, September till May or June of next year. There's just going to be too much going on that we have to coordinate with some other festivals that have some footprints in different areas on Vaughn Drive. But on this one in particular, what, gives me some concern too, is we're layering in multiple events over a very short period of time. The Riverfest event, it'll be something different this year, but it's going to be a barbecue event, which is August of 15th, it's a weekend, August of 15th, 16th. We have the American Cruise Lines that's there in that same location, August the 22nd. Your event would be August the 28th and 29th. The Thornton Motorcycle Show is August the 30th, same location. And then overlapping, we have more American Cruise Lines, and then the Salvation Army Car Show, because I believe that's Labor Day weekend right around there coming up, and then Unbroken Music Festival. So we would be having essentially 3 music festivals in a row at Bicentennial at a time when we're doing construction, and layering them in back to back to back.
Sure.
So I'm expressing some concern that may not be the best weekend, and this may not be, as much as I'd love to have more in business in Madison, may not be the year, because we have all these other events that have been there, before, and then we've got different parts of our riverfront under construction.
Okay.
So I'm expressing some concern about doing that, but I'd like to, rather than making a decision on it today, I'd wonder, Michael, would you be willing to table this, let us do a little bit more research, talk to our streets department, but also visit Madison on, kind of how we would just handle multiple events sequentially happening in a very, very short period of time in the same footprint.
Okay, yep.
That's my concern. So I'd like to make a motion, we table Resolution 2026-9, and we'll get back with you for the next meeting.
Okay.
Which would be April the 6th. Dave, would you agree to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, it's not every day that we get the opportunity to have a state rally for,
Yeah.
organization. So, I don't want to discourage you.
Sure.
We want you to come. We want, but like the mayor said, it's, the timing just may not work, but give us a couple weeks to have some discussion and,
Okay.
But, like I said, I would love to have your organization come. And another thing is, when your people come, we want to put on the best show that we can, Having a riverfront under construction may not provide the best, logistics and
Sure.
look at our asset, our riverfront. We want to put on the best that we can,
Yep.
and a construction site may not be,
Understood. Yep.
so
So I have a motion, you second? the
I'll
motion?
second your motion.
Dave seconds the motion. Any additional discussion? I would just say thank you for your patience on this. We'll work
Sure.
this out. There are some additional discussions internally and externally to have, and then we'll be in touch with you for the next meeting, which would be April the 6th.
Okay.
Are there any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you,
All right,
Michael.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Last up, we have PACE presentation. Brenna?
I say the PowerPoint is out of order, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I have 4 finals for you today. The first one is 111 East Main Street. This is the Floating Cow building. This was a dilapidated grant requesting the full $25,000. There was no midpoint. And they did full brick repair and tuck pointing, new roofing, fascia, gutter system. All of the front windows have been restored. The back windows have been replaced. They've repaired the ceilings inside and the attic space.
Are they were there shutters on before?
There were shutters blocking the windows. I don't believe they plan to put the shutters back.
I really like it without the shutters on. It's pretty. Great job.
Yeah.
Some of the second and third floors of these downtown buildings have some beautiful architecture and space, but many of them are in very, very poor condition. In fact, last week, Main Street had a conference, and this was exactly what it was about restoring our second and third stories, but also, bringing in a housing initiative to accommodate it. It's 111 East May. Move on.
Okay, so this is the last one in your book, so we'll go forward to this one. 811 East 2nd. This was another dilapidated grant requesting the full $25,000. They did foundation repair, structural repair, rewiring the inside, new gutters, chimney repair, siding, and repainting. And this is a duplex, and they're requesting the exact same thing for the other side too. So the first set of new pictures, this is 811, and then the second set is 811 and a half. So if you want to go 2 more forward.
I didn't get a chance to drive by there, but it's been painted, so,
Yeah, one side is light green, one side is dark green.
yeah, this project has been a long time in the works.
That
Several
property
different,
is
Several different owners.
lots of different owners, lots of uncertainty. If it wasn't for our PACE program and willing investor, that property would have a very different future. was in very poor condition, was allowed to almost deteriorate beyond being salvaged. I do have a question, though. When we approved this PACE grant, we did so under an agreement that we would have some correction of the blighting influence of the shed that's in the back. What has happened to the shed that's in the back?
That I do not know. I'll have to look into, because that was a PACE grant that was approved before I worked here. So
I was here.
I will look into that for you.
Yeah, I would not like to approve this until we understand what is happening with the rest of the property. And Brian will understand, because we've had lots of conversations about it. Have they not taken any prior? Did they take a midpoint?
No.
No midpoint? I'd be okay converting this to a midpoint and funding, unless he wants to wait and give us the plan for the back property, because I haven't seen anything done with the back of the property yet. And rear structure to be completed by end of the project.
Okay.
It's on the approval.
It's on the sign.
So how do you want me to do this? Do you want to do a midpoint, or do you want me to just come back with it later?
What do you recommend? I'm just offering a solution.
I think they might appreciate a midpoint so that they have some funding back. So maybe we switch it to that.
Yeah, and and honestly, I'd be okay doing a final on one and a midpoint on the other. We just need a solution for one of the finals.
Hi. I just wanted to point out, they were approved for $25,000. If you're doing a midpoint, you want to change the dollar amount because you're paying out the full $25,000.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point
Oh,
yet.
sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to approve one final?
I'm asking for your recommendation.
I think that would be fine.
Okay, I will move that we approve a final for, which direction do they go? Is it 811, then 811 and a half, or 811 and, which direction?
811 and a half is closer to the bridge.
That would be the east end, 811 and a half.
811 and a half is which one?
The one closer to the bridge, the furthest one out, the dark green one.
Okay, I would move that we approve a final for 811 East Second Street and a midpoint for 811 and a half. And then you could come back at the next Board of Public Works meeting, maybe with a plan or a solution or something agreed upon with regards to the rear structure.
Can you help me clarify dollar amounts?
Yes, $25,000 for 811 and $12,500 for 811 and a half.
Thank you.
Thank you. That would be my motion.
I'll second your motion. I think this is vital, the vital structure, your first impression when you come off the bridge, you come off into Madison. This is what we've,
Really grateful for the major investment that they've
Yes.
made. And there's still some work to do relative to that site that hopefully we can get a good understanding of. But once our money's out there, we have no influence over the outcome after that, as we've had some issues before with that.
Okay, our last one is.
Okay.
we vote on that.
Oh.
We need to vote on it. So any other comments or questions? Either? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Our last final is 515 Jefferson Street. This is actually the accessory structure in the back, so it's not the house. This was a rehab grant for $7,500, requesting that full amount. And they replaced 6 of those windows that are double hung 4/4s. They were completely rebuilt with historic glass by Roger Welch, and then repainted to match the rest of the structure.
Looks beautiful. That,
Yeah.
it's a rare structure to have downtown.
What's the structure used for? Do you have any idea?
Right now, I believe it's storage, but they do plan to put some sort of residential thing in there, I think, sort of like an Airbnb,
Okay.
is what I had heard.
can tell you what it was previously used for. It was literally the neighborhood basketball court when I was a kid growing up on Walnut Street. We were there almost every day playing basketball in Mr. and Mrs. Smith's backyard. They were so great. They're a very kind couple. I move that we approve this is a final for 515 Jefferson Street, $7,500.
Want to add 111 East Main to that?
And 111 East Main. There we go. Thank you.
I'll second your motion on the,
2 properties. Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, let's go to some staff reports. Brian Jackson would like to give 2/3 of the board a staff report, as well as anybody's watching. Yes, he's missing out.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with the water department and kind of give you guys just a brief recap of some of the things we did in 2025. We completed our wellhead protection plan 5-year update as required by IDEM's Office of Water Quality. A wellhead protection plan, I'll give you a brief synopsis of it. It's a 5-year update that's required to review and is a revision of the city's existing plan to ensure continued protection of the community's groundwater drinking water resources. The goal is to ensure the city remains proactive in protecting its groundwater source, maintains compliance with Indiana regulations, reduces contamination risk, and demonstrates due diligence in safeguarding public health. And we do that, as you say, it's kind of every 5 years. It depends on how quickly IDEM gets their review looked at.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
What goes into this report? How do they come up with this report?
Well, initially, back in, when we first did the wellhead protection, it's probably about 600 pages. It's a report. I can get you that, too, a hard copy if you want, Dave.
Talk about the PER?
No,
Oh.
this is the
Oh,
wellhead
well.
protection plan. Back long ago, I think in the late 1990s, they had to do a wellhead protection plan. IDEM required that to help protect where your wells are, so that they can't put contaminants into the ground. And actually, we have a kind of a rehab project going on down there by the old feed mill, just west of the treatment plant. There's monitoring wells and stuff where they dropped fuel on the ground at one time, a long time ago. But, and that was obviously not allowed, but, and they actually came in, extracted a lot of the ground, cleaned it up, and they still monitor it today. That's been going on for 15
Wow.
years. And, you know, if they see something, there's thousands of chemicals, but if they see one, they let me know, and even if it's a trace amount and it doesn't affect our reports, they let us know, and we sometimes modify the wells we use, but we could talk forever about the wellhead protection plan, and I can give you a synopsis, but the
So
actual
basically,
document.
they go through that 600-page
We is they.
report
Yes,
and that report identified the hazard sites.
if there are any,
If
yeah.
there- And then the
Correct.
update every 5 years goes back to those
The
sites.
original
and-
report listed like all the gas stations, grocery stations, and everything out. Now, we're just doing a 5-year review,
Yeah.
and as long as nothing has been added to it, there's not a lot that's changed.
Yeah.
But the initial report was what was so thick, and then you
Yeah.
just review it every 5 years. And you don't let them, now we wouldn't let them put a gas station
Right.
in our wellhead protection area. But that was long ago.
Yeah.
But, okay. Next item, something else we did last year, we continued our meter upgrades. This is just for your knowledge. We replaced approximately 700 water meters last year with Metron meters, and they'd use cellular data, and they gather data, every 60 seconds. And right now, we're still in that process. As the mayor knows, he and I met a few times on the purchase of the meters. We've got about 2,500 converted, and we, out of the a little over 6,200, we'll keep converting those till they're all on the same program, but that's going to be
How many have been
years.
converted?
2,500, give or
Is
take.
it only about half then, is what you're saying?
Less than half,
Less than
yes.
half, okay.
Well, as you know, they're very expensive.
I know,
So,
long-term project.
so, yeah, and I've kind of incorporated that into our operating budget. So if we spend more, my operating budget allows for 600, and I actually did 700. But, if we don't spend them more in one area, I can kind of reallocate those resources to get more meters, and that's kind of what I do.
I got a question on that too.
Okay, fire away. Dave, we're going to be here a long time. I got a long
Hey.
list of stuff.
Hey, we're on the clock. So.
Glad to get to.
I remember going back 25 years ago or so, I believe we entered into a contract with a firm out of Texas
Correct.
for these
Those were
meters
handhelds.
called Fireflies, if I remember
I don't remember
right.
what, no, I wasn't here then, but I know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
And I don't think that really worked out real well.
It did not. They actually, there was a lawsuit. This
They
was
sold us a bill
all
of goods,
pre-me,
basically.
and even before I worked for the city. This
Yeah.
happened before me. But I do know that there was a lawsuit, they settled that, and they provided them support, and, but what turned out they were supposed to use, they weren't able to. It didn't work. So they still had to physically go around with books and hand read everything.
Yeah.
That's where we're trying to get away from, because that's such
Yeah.
a labor-intensive thing. And we don't really read very many that way now. Our other system that's not the cellular system is a self-contained system that we currently have with our own antennas and stuff, but it's hard to get support for that. And that was, we did that really before cellular was that advanced, and now they have cellular, which is better because then we don't have to maintain our system.
Well, I just want to mention here, a couple weeks ago, I got a call on a Monday morning, I think, from the water department. Our firehouse had used 50 gallons of water every hour all weekend.
You got a leak somewhere.
And your office determined that was unusual for that address.
That's correct.
So I went down and done a
Toilet
search
running
and
or
looked
something,
around,
or-
and I found an outside faucet that
Somebody-
was left cracked open all weekend. They could tell me when it started, like at 6 o'clock on Friday evening, clear up,
Right.
And that's the second time that's happened. I just want to say I appreciate,
Well,
I mean,
most of the accounts we can do that for. Not all,
yeah.
but most of them we get, the program also sends us an alert.
Mhm.
Now, my advice to you is secure that outlet so they can't happen again.
But, something like that, if it'd been in I mean, 50 gallons is not that much, but,
No.
if it'd been several hundred gallons an hour over a 3 or 4 day period,
Yes.
that's
Oh, no.
gonna save us a lot of money in our water bill, so.
Yeah.
I appreciate that fact, so.
Do you
Your
guys even
office
pay a
does
water bill at the firehouse?
Pardon?
I don't think your fire department pays a water bill.
Well, I don't, I'm just,
It saves the city, Dave, because I'm
Saves
pretty sure
somebody,
all the
so.
fire departments are
Yeah.
unbilled
Yeah.
Yeah.
accounts.
I think so.
But I'm glad. And then the next thing on my list is backflow prevention, and this is just an update. We began using a company called BSI Online, and, we have several businesses in the community that use backflow preventers, and they have to be inspected yearly, and they have to fill out paperwork. We're trying to transition so they can do that online instead of submitting. They used to fax in reports and do things like that, and this sends them a notice that it's due, and it's just a conversion opportunity. We're still in the beginning stages of that, though, so that started last year, though. All right, looking forward to 2026. This year, we have to do a water loss audit again for the year 2025. If you remember, we do these every 2 years, and we have to submit all those readings, and it basically tracks all the water produced versus what's billed, and you kind of identify your loss.
Factors into your
Right.
rate costs
Yes,
too.
and generally, most communities have 15 to 20% loss, which I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not.
It sounds like a lot when you talk about almost 1 billion gallons a
Right.
year of water being consumed. That's
Right.
a couple,
But
could
like I said-
potentially be a few 100 million gallons.
There's several things that affect that. There's theft, obviously. There's unbilled accounts. There's flushing of the hydrants. There's a lot of things we do. And like when we had the flood, we opened up those hydrants and we washed down the roads.
Yeah.
There's probably 1 million gallons right there. There's just a lot. That all contributes to your water loss. But
fire
we're-
department use,
yeah,
putting out
every
fires.
the water ball fight.
Yeah.
But that's that. And then the next thing I have is for 2026, per new law passed in 2025, the water department has to complete an annual cybersecurity assessment and this is a brand-new law, so I'm just now getting familiar with it. And it's making sure we're taking the necessary steps to protect our SCADA system. It's more to do with that because we control everything with SCADA. But I don't know a lot about that yet. It just became a law. And then the next thing I have is the water rate study has been completed to assess our water utilities' financial health. The mayor and I have been working on that, ensuring that revenue covers operations, maintenance, and capital improvements. The next thing is we continue and update and assess our lead service line. We've
It's
got
been an ongoing project now for a while. What's the
Yes.
status of it?
That, right now, we have approximately 24 to 2,500 unidentified lines out of the 6,200 and something. By November 1st of 2027, that's going to be the deadline currently. That's going to be the deadline for the utilities to submit their lead service line replacement plans. So you can still identify them. And a lot of people have unknowns. That's not unusual because it's difficult to identify some. But Jay and I are still working on
Who's
that.
responsible for replacing their service line?
That's an unfunded mandate.
Okay. Wow. When is that?
By
When-
November 1st, 2027. Now, we're responsible if it's a lead from the line to the meter. They're
Right.
going to be responsible from the meter to the line. However, let me quantify that because so far we have found no lead service lines in Madison. So, and I believe there aren't any. We found a few lead goosenecks over the past 10 years. We've maybe found 10, a few one year, none the next. But we really don't have our community didn't install a lot of lead service lines or lead lines, so that's a big plus for us.
And what about the line from the home to the meter?
That would more than likely
Outside.
going to be their responsibility, maybe, but that's still
Okay.
that can go either way. Ideally, I mean, when Jay and I go to these quarterly meetings, that's obviously what all the water operators want, but it depends on what law is passed when they decide. Yeah, that's a cost, not really for us because we don't have that many, but some of the communities have a lot of service lines and we don't. Okay, that's all for water. We're going to wastewater. Clean to dirty. All right, and I'll just give you a quick recap of 2025 like I did on the other. As you know, we did the Wells Drive lift station. We've completed the flow study. We completed the smoke testing. And the smoke testing, they're still using that data. They identified the problems within the infrastructure owned by the city and by the property owners. And we're sending out letters to the residents to inform them repairs that they need to make. And then we're doing our own repairs. We've already begun repairs on our infrastructure. The smoke testing identifies crack lines and things like that and illegal connections on the consumer's part.
Will there be a report that's compiled?
We've
as
already
a
got
result?
that.
You do have that, okay.
Yeah, that's how, basically the report gives the address, where the problem is, and if it's ours or theirs, and who needs to fix
Is there
it.
an executive summary with the report that?
I can
like-
get with Rebecca and see, she took that, and, I mean, it's a big report because we found a lot of issues, and we started working on our stuff, and then she started sending out letters to the consumers.
It'd be interesting to know some high-level data as a result of that test. I don't want to read a, 3-inch
Right, well,
report, but
and we only smoke
2-page
tested.
executive summary would be great.
Right, but we only smoke tested in specified
Yeah,
areas,
yeah.
so it's not going to be like for the whole
Sure,
city.
sure.
It'll just be those areas where we're trying to identify the problems.
Right.
Okay, I'll say something to her and see if
Okay,
she can forward to
thank you.
that. I've got it somewhere, but,
And then we're coming up with the next phase of that project, right?
yes,
With the Wells
well,
Drive.
It's under design now, but
yes.
there's a lot of groundwork to lay, so to
Yeah,
speak, for that.
Yeah, the lift station rehab and what we're going to do there is when we do the lift station, we're probably, before we put a lot of that, because once we upgrade the lift station, it's going to put a bigger burden on the waste treatment plant. And if it's going to do that and we got to modify something in the waste treatment plant, then we're kind of going to work on a master plan before we do the lift station now and identify other issues, because if we got other areas that are going to affect the treatment plant, when we work on the treatment plant, I want to put something in that's going to address problems throughout the whole city, not just at Wells Drive. So that's at the preliminary stages. Initially, I was just going to go with the Wells Drive lift station, but after talking to the mayor and my engineer, and I'd rather try to catch everything at one time. So, because when we upgraded the lift station, or at the treatment plant, I want what we put in to be able to handle more than just the problem of Wells Drive lift station, if that makes sense.
Totally
we-
makes sense.
Are we that close to capacity at the treatment plant, or?
Yes. Now, but whether wet related,
Conditions.
yes. In heavy rain, that's when our problems hit. But that's the problem. We have to design for heavy rain.
Right.
98, or well, maybe 95% of the time, maybe more than that, we're fine at the treatment plant. We've got plenty of capacity. But when you have those heavy rains and you have overflows, that violates IDEM's rules.
Right.
And so you have to design for the heavy rains, even though they rarely occur, you have to design for that. And that's why I know you're not only going to have problems at Wells Drive, you're going to have problems at other places because of inflow and infiltration, which is what we're trying to identify with the smoke testing and the flow studies.
So those two projects are going to work in conjunction with each other?
Yeah, that's why we did the flow study, then the smoke testing. The flow studies were done in the same areas of the smoke testing.
Yeah.
You did the flow studies to try to figure out where your problems were so you'd know where to do the smoke testing. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, the other thing I had on here is we had to get a new mixer for the aeration tank, just small stuff at the plant. And then we upgraded several of our PLCs on our SCADA system at the plant. And the wastewater department is also going to be subject to this cybersecurity rule. And then we purchased a new vac truck, which I don't know if you guys are aware, because I brought that spreadsheet. They should be delivering it soon. We haven't got it yet, but we have purchased it. We haven't given them the money either, so that's good. Okay, for 2026, well, I just went over what we're doing with Wells Drive. That was what we're getting. You jumped ahead on me, Dave. And then, in January and February of this year at the plant, we repaired the grit system, which you were aware, IDEM came down to an inspection. At the time they did their inspection, our grit system was down, which is not a big deal. We were in the process of fixing it already. And then we replaced some of our return activated sludge pumps, which that's getting a little probably much into the weeds for you guys, but these pumps just move unsettled organisms, and they recirculate the bugs back into our aeration unit so they can use the bugs again to eat the waste. But and then in the coming months, we'll be replacing 2 failing duplex lift stations in the Grange Hall area, and then the one I mentioned to you, Mayor, at the golf course, we'll be replacing that simplex station, which is a one pump system. And then we plan on installing some new manholes, and that's probably occurring right now. 2 in Heinz Alley. There are no manholes there. There's intersections. We have sewer intersections with no manholes, so we can't access them to clean them, camera them, or anything. And I don't know if it's Heinz Alley or Heinz Alley. It's actually one by you, Mayor. That we're putting
I've seen it where it's marked.
Yeah, that we're putting a manhole there at
Yep.
Plum and Heinz, and then at the intersection of the 2 alleys. And then we're also putting another one on East Street and one on Central, which is close to here also. And then our camera system's almost 10 years old, and it's starting to fail, so we're going to be probably looking at getting a new camera system. And so far, the estimates are coming in around $250,000, just to give you a heads up, which I thought was...
I'm hearing a lot of capital investment, and
Yeah.
is how
well, I'm going to get to the money
how
at the end.
sufficient is our
It's gonna-
CapEx fund for all this
This
investment without
wastewater-
a rate increase?
And then some good news, I'll let you know that Tanner Thomas passed his state exam, received his Class 1 wastewater license here in the past month. Dennis Kilgore passed his Class 2. Johnny Caldwell, yeah, Johnny, woo-hoo.
Go Johnny.
He passed his Class 1. Johnny's been with us over 30 years. He's a good fella, and he knows the whole system. He just finally got him to pass his Class 1 test. I was proud of him. And then, so that makes now down at the treatment plant, these are the people that have licenses. Rebecca has Class 4, Tony Ferguson has a Class 1, Scott Lee has a Class 1, and Johnny has a Class 1, Dennis has a Class 2, and Tanner has a Class 1. So we're trying to get more people licensed down at the plant. And then I'll sum up with the capital improvements, because I wanted to make, Right now, I have around 939,000 in the capital fund, but after I pay for the vac truck at 435,000 and then a new camera, and I'm afraid the new camera might be more than 250,000, but I'm not sure. That's going to leave us with about 254,000 in our capital, which is okay. That's better than zero, but we won't be able to spend any money on capital improvements for a while. And that's all I have.
Yeah, that was why I was questioning why we would pay cash for the vac truck rather than lease it, for example. But, because
I don't like paying interest.
I get it, but you're going to have a $500,000 expenditure come up someday, and you have $250,000 in a CapEx account.
Well, don't forget,
We've mismatched.
I'm adding, and it's probably more than that now, I'm adding 25,000 a month to those
Yeah,
accounts.
true.
So by the end of the year, I will have a half a $1 million
I know
in that
that.
account. So, and I don't foresee that coming. I mean, I'm replacing as I do. I mean, that was the plan. And with wastewater, we may increase that 25,000 going a month, because in water, we put in 43.5 a month into a capital plan. But when we did this one, we didn't realize inflation was going to skyrocket in 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
So, and we will be doing a rate study. We haven't done a rate study for the sewer since 2017.
17, yes. Lots to work on, utility, capacity building, replacing old equipment, improving cybersecurity, high priority, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
And Brian, thanks for that update. Anything else to add?
that's it. Unless Dave got another question.
Thank you, Brian. This is, our utility is a very technical operation, whether it be solid waste or wastewater or water or recycling. It is a big business and very technical, so thanks, Brian, for that. And next up, Chris is going to give us a report on streets, facilities, and solid waste. Hi, Chris.
Hi, I'm back. All right, so we were asked to give a high-level wrap-up report for last year. So I brought some stats and some projects that we worked on. We can talk through them and see what question you guys have. So we did have one major snowstorm and several smaller snowstorms last year. Keep in mind, we're not talking about what we just went through, but
Right.
the start of last year, the one was, depending on who you ask, 12 to 14 inches, so it was a significant snow. We had several smaller ones. We learned along the way, and we're able to, I believe, implement some of those things that we learned this year to get some better results. You'll notice we're hoping that the snow is ending. We are out brining and making a few preparations for the overnight temps, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed that this is the last of the cold weather for this year also. We did have the two major floods that Brian mentioned. We used quite a bit of their free water to wash the roads. It was necessary, but we did use a very large amount of water. And we also used over 2,000 man-hours for flood cleanup last year. So a significant amount of resources went into those two floods. The first one basically just trying to clean up Vaughn Drive itself where the mud had washed over. The second one obviously being much more significant, and we are still working to recover fully from some of those damages, to be honest with you. We had, I know events has been a hot topic, so we had hundreds of events in the city. 54 of them we noted required street closures, fencing, barricades, picnic tables, utilities, and various other needs that are required to have those events that put some sort of a burden on the street department or the city itself.
Yeah, you mentioned, would you say 54?
54 significant
Yeah.
events that required
Like
street
35
closure.
of them were in the Vaughn Drive, on Vaughn Drive. So that's why we're talking about Vaughn Drive and everything happening there just a little while ago.
Correct. If you're not careful, you get into closing Vaughn Drive almost weekly when it becomes
Right.
event season, right? And we do want to leave that resource available for the rest of the community to use also. So finding a balance there is hard, but we will keep working to do that. We also noted that we had well over 2,000 man-hours in events last year.
Right.
And neither of those, the flooding or the event setup numbers, include the DOC man-hours, which is also a very large portion of our labor. the ladies from the Department of
Do
Corrections.
we track that very well? Because I'd like to have that statistic too.
So we track their daily number of hours worked, because the system is set up to capture special event hours for our guys, but not the DOC itself. That's something that we're looking
Okay.
to correct, because, yeah, there are a large number of DOC man hours that went into the events and the flood cleanup especially.
Those ladies do a tremendous job.
They
a great
do they carry a large burden of the work for the city, cleaning up loose trash, mowing. I mean, they contribute, cleaning the restrooms every morning. They contribute to the city in a large number of ways that people don't see a lot of their work. They're up, done and early, and off doing something else before people ever even get out.
Yeah.
So we are very appreciative to have the DOC crews. We also completed several major road projects, including Clifty Drive. I say it's completed. There will be a small section of rework done where there was one small issue found, but the majority of Clifty Drive itself is completed and open. We've seen the sidewalks, storm sewer, as well as the resurfacing work done there. You'll see new signage and a couple of small items going up that complete that work. We also obviously had Main Street projects this year, so Milda Broadway was completed with the bump outs per the design that had been developed over the years, as well as being able to do the resurfacing on down to St. Michael instead of just the restriping, which was a big gain for the city. We were able to get down fresh blacktop instead of just the striping, and
Right.
also reconfigure some of the lanes down there. So we are seeing the benefits of that. We also, as part of that project, were able to add the mid-block crossing, which has been completed
Yeah.
and is functional now, and we're seeing a lot of use on the mid-block crossing, and looked at it as an example of future opportunities to do projects.
I hope that soon we'll be able to close out all the punch list. And, the thing about all the projects we have going on is when you get down to the retainage level and punch list level, if it takes months to complete that, it's still in our workflow for that many months. And I'd love to somehow see us have a quicker pace on closing out the projects. When we get to 99%, it seems like it takes months to get to that closeout. I'm not even talking about the part with NDOT, just talking about with the contractor. Part of it's maybe because we're self-performing it, but I'd really like to see a little bit more sense of urgency on finishing things and getting them off our plates when we get to that.
Yeah, in
Get to that
fairness to
retainage-
them, they
retainage.
ran up against the weather,
Yeah.
so they are coming back. The main items left on the punch list is there's one section of concrete that needs redone because we found an issue over the winter
Yep.
with it. The sod, which is actually something we're taking care of to finish up any of the sod and landscaping, and other than that, the Main Street project is all but wrapped up. There are very, very few items left on the punch list that aren't weather permitting, I
Good deal.
would say. So we've got the overhead signage to go in, and that'll be the end of that portion of the Main Street project.
Okay.
So
Yeah, when you see the overhead signs go up, we know we're almost done.
almost done. We expect in the next couple weeks they will be in and installed. So
The giant signs.
I'd also just like a quick note that the street department also maintains responsibility for sidewalks, trees, pavers. We participate in parades, any of the events, and many more things around town. But those were the main notes that I had for the street department itself. Do you have any?
Well, on that, I would like a plan. I mean, I know that and I've had some discussion in staff meeting about all of the 70 some odd, maybe less than that now, flower beds we have between Jefferson Street and Broadway Street. And we're going to be having a concerted effort to start repairing and filling in many of those that are just, again, many of them are damaged. They're just really, really poorly thought out when they were installed, candidly. I haven't heard are we going to put any plantings at all in those? Or are we going to fill them all in? I just will react better if I had a plan of what we were going to attack, which ones were the worst ones, who's going to do it. Are we going to have any any flower beds this summer? I don't know the answers to some of those questions, but it feels a little random right now, honestly, that something's going to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen and when. Yeah, so to answer your question, I have a follow-up on that.
Okay, so there is a plan.
Yeah.
Yes, we will communicate it. It's probably a little broad for this format. But yes, we have a plan for flowers, bricking in certain planter beds that weren't ever intended to exist to reduce the number that allows those flower beds to better be maintained. There was the formation of the grounds crew, so we've been working with them also. So we can talk through that and we can go from there. But yes, there is a plan.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to solid waste, I have some numbers there, and I know this meeting's gone long, so I'll keep them
Love the data.
kind of high level. So the city of Madison itself collected 3,297 tons of garbage last year. That was mostly collected with a total of 9 guys, so 3 trucks. That includes the recycle truck, a driver and 2 swingers each truck, right? Jefferson County itself brought in 1,548 tons of garbage, which they pay to bring to the TSO itself through their county collection system. And the TSO itself processed just under 10,000 tons of garbage. So the difference there is made up in contractor garbage that's brought, think shingles, debris from construction sites.
Any resident in the community, the county,
brings a large
city or county can
load,
bring it
yeah.
in.
So, and then you also have things like items that come in on the lightning loader with the $5 pickup stickers, things like that, right? So those are all incorporated in that number. The city itself picked up 524 tons of recycled materials. Part of the improvement to the TSO itself, the modernization project, was adding a roof to the recycling, which will help keep water out of the recycling and reduce the amount of weight that we're charged for as that recycling is hauled off, because processing of the recycling is expensive. So we also collected, you'll notice under compost, we collected just over 1,000 tons of tree limbs, 153 tons of compost, and just under 200 tons of leaves with our leaf vac last year. That is a major undertaking for the city, and something we'll be looking at as we move forward is the modernization of our leaf vacs. They are very old and deteriorated and will be a part of the capital improvement plan moving forward. Right?
That's like almost 12,000 tons of processing between solid waste and compost and tree limbs at our TSO.
Correct.
It's an enormous amount of volume.
And all that, including the drivers and the people picking up the trash, is done with 11 guys total, which I think is a really impressive number when you think about the total amount of stuff that's processed through that facility on a daily basis, right? So, as we move forward, we have reached substantial completion. We are on the final punch list, and within the next week or so, weather permitting, expect to close out the TSO project itself. It's just a very small punch list, including a couple small areas that need touched up around the electrical and final walkthrough, but the project, the roof is on, the gutters are on, which is something we talked about at the last BPW. That's all completed, and the project is 99.5% done.
Is it possible to have maybe the final pay app at the next BPW meeting, April 6th, and really kind of, because I know you've been living with that for a long time. I've been living with it since probably 2023 or 2024, so it's Dave. Love to see the whole project finally getting buttoned up.
I'm hoping to, but we've got to get it in early enough to be able to do that, and it has to be reviewed by the engineer, so it may be the meeting after that.
Okay.
Would be probably more likely.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but we will push to get that in. And then just a couple other notes that I had here was one thing we're really proud of in the street department was that we did, for the first time in several years, we were able to add 3 new CDL drivers to our staff, which helps with the plow crews, helps with flexibility in daily operations. If you have someone who's on vacation, you have someone else to be able to drive a truck. And these were all 3 existing employees that had already been on staff. And that's something we plan to do again this year, is they train them and pass the test in groups of 3. So we've identified 3 more that have moved through the process far enough to get their CDLs.
Good job on that. That strengthens the entire city operation, not just there, when we have more licensed and experienced and skilled staff.
Yeah.
And great job.
Yeah, and it's nice to add to the guys who are already a part of the team to give them an extra skill set.
Right.
That's
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Chris, I appreciate
Good
it.
job.
Dewey, I'm going to ask if we can't postpone your update until the next meeting. Dewey, okay? Give us a little time. I've got a conflict here coming up in about 45 minutes that I need to prepare for. But we've heard a lot of great information about how experienced our directors are in managing those operations and how we are leveraging our staff by greater skill sets, but the amount of work that they do in combination with the other departments as well as with the DOC is very incredible. And I just want to emphasize, that's another reason why we're looking at how the whole event process is managed, because we've got to put some guardrails and better structure behind event management, because as our budgets get more restrained and we have to do more with less people, we have to look at the flow through of all of that, and events, the event side of things is just one that is begging for some structure. We did a good job, I think, focusing on event safety, but now what we're talking about is how do we manage so many events in different footprints across the city, and the burden the city's taking on being a resource, a labor resource for so many events. So we've just got to get better at it. With that in mind, I just want to mention a couple of other things. At the next meeting, our goal is to introduce the Crooked Creek Stormwater Flood Mitigation Plan to the Board of Public Works at the April 6th meeting. And then we will have a bid opening for the CCMG 1 here on March the 30th. That's been advertised. I want to thank everybody for all their work through the different weather. And I received a call early this morning from a constituent thanking the city and our staff for quick response to a downed tree and our focus on safety, and then also getting our roads reopened. So we're always on high alert when bad weather's coming through town. Chris had outlined last year where we had several floods and snowstorms, and this year we've had quite a bit of snow and rain, and we're having to respond, and it takes resources to respond, but everybody's doing a great job. Very proud of the result there. Next meeting is Monday, April the 6th. Are there any public comments? Anybody here like to address the Board of Public Works? Dave, do you have any remarks?
Nope.
Move to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?